sharp turn. But anyways, Venice is going to be the next one, and you can see what's going on. LAPD not chasing them on the ground. They are straight out in tracking mode. That helicopter up ahead, up above, making calls, telling the ground units where this vehicle is.
This vehicle is flying. It is just making me nervous watching these maneuvers, just erratically going in and out of lanes. These cars down below obviously have no idea what's going on, and they could easily merge into a lane, and before you know it, things can go really wrong really quickly.
You know, that really truly is my biggest fear when these vehicles are moving so fast, coming up on almost stopped vehicles. You're in this kind of traffic, you're looking around, you're like, okay, I'm clear, let me change lanes. Hopefully they're not going to get into that emergency lane, but look at these speeds, 80, almost 90 miles an hour in the emergency lane. You're passing these cars like they're passing picket fences, and continuing on. If any of these, if there's a problem in the roadway, a blockage that's is going to have to come to a stop. Haven't seen this vehicle make contact with any other cars, which is a very good thing. But right now, continuing on right there, you can see, I think that's even a Bentley, and is continuing on, getting back into that far right lane. That seems to be his little key, his little getaway card. But right now, he's not getting away from the LAPD. The helicopter's making the calls. We are hearing it. They're talking about re-engaging that pursuit, but they've got to get units in position. They've got to call ahead, make sure there's somebody that might be nearby. Was another close one right there. Looks like people are kind of leaning off to the right, and you know, that was an off ramp right back over, and now it's continuing on. My fear right now, I feel that Jeff is climbing and climbing. So Jeff's our pilot this morning at the tiller of Skyfox. I guess we're taking an off ramp, so that, I mean, that's a good thing for us because we're making our way into LAX's airspace.
He's going carte blanche on these lanes right now, and so he just got off at an exit. There he is again.
Back on.
Right. It doesn't seem to really matter what lane he's in. He was just narrowly missing a lot of those cars. He's driving a Mustang, so obviously big engine there. Now he just came to a full stop in the middle of the road, and he's going in reverse.
Changed his mind. Yeah. Change his mind in reverse on this on-ramp right there. Other cars, I mean, they're like that guy in that black car is probably like, what is going on here? In kind of stopping. Looks like we're going to do a three-point turn. You know, that used to be on the driving test. He's going to see where he pops out. There he goes. And now we're going to be on surface streets. You know, there is an opportunity to get back onto the, there's what I thought he was going to do. Getting back onto the 405. Not really sure what the plan is here, and most likely that driver has no plan, but it's back onto that 405 freeway. Now we're going to be heading northbound on that 405. Whoop, up. See, that's Roxy was just talking about that, I think. And these are those type of maneuvers. It could be so tragic for any of these vehicles involved. Even that driver, the suspect in this vehicle, trying to get away. And get away from what? Right now, it's the helicopters above them. These maneuvers, they're not changing anything, and it's really, truly just putting the public at risk. If the LAPD had a vehicle behind it, this is not a commentary, this isn't anything like that, maybe there'd be some lights and sirens. But even with this kind of reckless driving, LAPD would, even trained drivers, would have a difficulty keeping up safely, and that's what the law enforcement has to do. Right now, the helicopter's making calls. Everybody's keeping an eye on it. Looks like we're getting back. Oh, wait a minute. Is it a transition or an off-ramp? Looks like we're going to be getting off the freeway once again. Maybe he's looking for something out here in the West LA area, but this one is going to be tight right there. He's kind of stuck, and this is one of those opportunities where if law enforcement, there they are. Hello. You know, they might have been able to do a hard pit right there, even with a lot of other vehicles in the way. Maybe that would have brought this to an end. Right now, though, we're going to wait and see where he pops out. There he is. And now it is a full-on pursuit. You got the LAPD in the air and on the ground. And, of course, the driving not getting any better, but at least law enforcement is there. Lights and sirens might be able to warn the public.
Looks like he's getting back on an on-ramp yet again. Stu, you said this was a possible kidnapping suspect. Do we know if he's the only person in the car? Were you able to zoom in and see when he was on the surface streets?
Yeah, it's funny. We were just talking about really tinted windows. It looks like there is a passenger. I would venture to say there is a passenger right there. That's we can use the digital doubler, but you know, maybe it was shadows, but it definitely looked like there is somebody in the passenger seat. And now I'm just repeating what they're saying was everything can change when it comes to when everything's said and done. But now we're hearing possible domestic violence victim inside that vehicle. So it's constantly changing, very fluid. But right now, what I can tell you, very erratic driving, and in traffic. Now we're picking up the 90, so we're going to be heading out towards Marina Del Rey.
Yeah, that's
this is
right.
a short little hop of a, it's a short little hop.
Centinela, he should be approaching
it's
Centinela.
Kind of wide open.
Yeah. I know exactly where that is.
What's he doing
That's
now?
a pretty wide area with typically not a lot of traffic on that stretch of the road. But yeah, Centinela will be coming up fairly shortly, and we'll see what he does here. But it looks like, as we were saying, he seems to be moving in and out of these lanes, emergency lanes, on ramps, off ramps, just kind of using the road as carte blanche right now, and going very, very fast.
Very, very fast. And now I'm getting information that possibly he's lost the front driver's side tire. So if that's the case, at these high speeds, that wobble we're seeing, it might get a lot worse. And those fast lane changes, I don't know if that's attributed to the fact that he is missing, it might be having a low tire, and or possibly just, who knows? Who knows? Maybe this is one of those emotional moments. This person is trying to get away. Now I'm going to say nobody in the passenger seat. As we're kind of looking in there, the window is down. So, maybe this is just emotional. Maybe there was some sort of situation. Domestic violence is what we're hearing. So who knows what's going through this driver's mind. But I'm just telling you, the public safety is really what I'm worried about. Yep, and we're coming up on stop traffic here, or a red light. This could, thank goodness for some of these other cars in the way. But at any rate, you're going to keep an eye on it. I just don't want to see this end badly.
Stu, I know the way we are right now. Again, a reverse.
Yeah, he's getting pinched. He really does not want to make any stops whatsoever on this road.
Well,
or any
now
of these
there's
roads.
some traffic. Like, you have no choice at this point, so you
Always
can either
a Prius.
Look at that.
Yeah. And I don't know what this is all about, but this, I'm going to stay a little bit. I'm going to stay a little bit wider because, like I said, the driver might be very emotional. I don't want to see any kind of situation where it might be, suicide by officer or some kind of situation like that. Clearly, that driver not in a solid, state right now. So, going to stay a little bit wider. I'm going to take a peek real quick, but then I'm going to go wide again. But just to see what that driver's doing, if we can see him through that front windscreen. But coming to a stop like that with the officer, in this type of confrontation, I'm going to stay careful with the video so we don't see anything. Or
well, Stu, and then do you notice
if we're a little bit wider if something does unfold? There's
a civilian vehicle, and it looks like officers just got that individual out of the car, obviously for their own safety. That just kind of got trapped in the back there. There's that gentleman, an innocent civilian, a bystander who got caught up in all of this. Right behind that vehicle, they got him out of the car. Everyone else cleared the way. They saw that, something's going on here. It is so tinted, those windows. It is so hard to make out anything.
And I'm sure officers are being cautious for that reason. They don't necessarily know what's going on inside that car. But they're being careful now. I guess it's up to them to start negotiating with the driver and or any passengers in the car to see what the next move might be.
I'm seeing something in that passenger window, or is that a reflection, you think, from the outside? It's hard to make out.
Is it two people inside that vehicle, or is it just a driver? What he's doing right now is never what you want to do when officers are behind you. Reaching around, grabbing stuff underneath the seat, any kind of motions like that. Definitely officers, if they would see this, and I think the helicopter is talking about it. And again, I would venture to say there is a passenger
in that car.
There are two people in that car.
Yeah. And so, go ahead.
It almost appears the driver is making contact with the passenger.
Yeah.
It looks like he's, or she, we don't know, grabbing the person in that seat. I see some kind of
there's definitely some sort of physical confrontation happening inside that car.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like he's moving stuff around. He looked like he picked up a cup and put it back into the cup holder. I'm not, who knows what's going through any of these suspects' minds when they're going through these chases. LAPD, I'm sure they're making calls right now telling this person to get out of the vehicle, possibly the passenger to get out of the vehicle. Why isn't the passenger getting out of the vehicle? There's a lot of questions in my mind about what's going on. We usually figure this stuff out later. I can tell you right now, the 90, they've shut it down completely. A lot of these other vehicles are probably going to have to move out of here or back up or turn around. But LAPD out here in force right now, probably more for the public safety, as the other vehicles are still on that off-ramp or the end of the 90 freeway out here. But you can see that the suspect not getting out of the vehicle, the passenger also apparently not getting out of the vehicle. And this kind of makes more questions in my mind about what was going on. That vehicle, I don't think it ran out of steam. The possibility of it starting up and driving off again is definitely still there. So I'm wondering if LAPD is going to try to block Mindanao Way. But at any rate, right now, we're just kind of waiting and seeing what that driver is going to do. And the door is open. That's a plus.
Okay, let's see what happens.
But,
yeah.
I'm still going to be very cautious.
Yeah, the driver's coming out right now, and I'm sure you have all the officers that are surrounding him right now on edge. They're probably trying to talk him down and make sure that this is a peaceful surrender. It looks like he kind of climbed. He's trying to get out. I don't know, can you zoom in a little bit more so we can see if he's okay? Well, I know you kind of have to keep your distance.
Yeah, if he has a weapon or something like that, it looks like it looks like a wallet. But these are those super tense situations where officers, they are, they're on edge. That driver clearly in an emotional state, and probably a lot of adrenaline as well. So, rational decisions, I don't really know. But it's like basically it's like he's saying, "Come to me." That's what I'm reading as sign as body language. I don't see any weapons. It looks like he's got a phone and a driving glove on. So, maybe he is a professional driver. Who knows? But at any rate, getting back into the car. But the passenger, I wonder why that passenger just hasn't gotten out and walked over to the law enforcement.
Well, in all fairness, you don't know if that passenger was being threatened or perhaps the suspect has a weapon. You don't know. For whatever reason, that person is probably too afraid to get out of the car right now and get help. But you do have a number of officers there. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm looking at like six, 7 different cars right now surrounding this vehicle. He did, just a moment ago, it looked like he tried to get out, but now he's shut himself back in the car, and who knows what he was saying to officers.
Yeah, and it looks like what I was doing right there, it looks like there's smoke coming from the front of the vehicle right there. Don't know if those are the brakes that are overheating or what else, what other mechanical problems it could be. But definitely that vehicle, it was driving pretty hard there for a little bit. I would venture to say those are the brakes still cooling down. But law enforcement, they just want to get this guy into custody, get him away from that vehicle as quickly as possible. Look at the number of officers out here. There's some less than lethal, but a lot of lethal weaponage down there in those officers' hands. And it looks like they finally have gotten control over that 90, end of the 90 here at Mindanao. They have all traffic stopped, but they still have some traffic moving across this way, which, I was going to say there's probably a unit there as well. So right now, this is usually a very busy intersection. It's going to be a little bit more busy right now. That suspect, all he has to do is walk over there, give himself up. That'll bring this whole thing to an end. But that's all up to him right now.
So, all right, so if you are just joining us on GDLA Plus, welcome to the 11 o'clock hour. We are following the end of a police pursuit in Marina del Rey. We're at the 90 in Mindanao Way. Officers have this gentleman who is a domestic violence suspect. It appears that we're in standoff mode right now. Authorities trying to negotiate with this man to try to get him, who is clearly in distress, outside of this car.
Right, and you just got back in. You can see him fussing around down there a little bit. He keeps reaching underneath the vehicle. Maybe there is a problem with the car. He's kind of coming back out again. Again, the same type of attitude. It's just he's kind of just defiant, just kind of like, you know, I want to do it my way. You guys come to me, or whatever's going on down there. But law enforcement, they've got their own plans and they've got their own procedures. And I venture to say they might go over there and try to take him into custody, but right now they're just going to wait it out. They do have time on their hands, that is for sure. That suspect, it's all up to him. He's got to make that decision, what he's going to do. Hopefully it's going to be the right decision, walk over there or do as they say, probably get down on his knees, and they can take him into custody. But as it stands right now, it's very much a standoff out here, and this is going to be in the Marina Del Rey area, end of the 90 freeway, right at Mindanao Way.
Well, it's not just about the suspect. I believe we think there is a passenger there. There is someone else in that car from what we have tried to see through these very tinted windows. Sometimes it seems like, yes, in fact, there is a second person, and other times it feels like maybe it's just his maneuvers and motions making it look as though there is some kind of altercation inside that vehicle. But if that is the case, and they have to just assume the very worst of the situation, they don't want to put someone else's life in danger. So that could be why it's taking a while to bring this to an end. Do you know, and in generally speaking with these circumstances, have they made contact, or do they make contact with the suspect by phone, maybe try to negotiate with him in that setting?
I don't think it's going to happen that fast. It would be more of if this was like a long drawn out type of thing. LAPD has a lot of tricks in their bag, that is for sure. And getting the cell phone for that person inside that vehicle is definitely going to be one of them. They won't make those kind of efforts until this becomes like a standoff. And then a lot of times they'll actually contact family members and have family members call maybe to try to talk some reason into that person. But right now it's very much a standoff. You've got a lot of weaponage pointed at that vehicle, and you're completely right. I mean, law enforcement, I've said this many times, they're concerned about everybody's safety, even that suspect. But now you add in the fact that there is most likely a female passenger inside that vehicle, and also any kind of passenger. Law enforcement is going to be very careful on what they do and how they handle this. As you might have an innocent person basically in the line of fire. So they're right now they are going to go probably the more relaxed route. They might turn into a standoff. They might actually even be calling for a negotiator. But right now, still very tense, as a lot of these officers coming down off of their adrenaline as well. That driver still seems to be a little bit angst. Every time he gets out, he's very agitated. You can read that in his body language. But, I don't know what those conversations are between the driver and law enforcement. Pretty sure law enforcement is just saying, get out of the vehicle, put your hands up, walk backwards. But that's definitely not happening.
Meantime, it seems like they do have that stretch of the off-ramp blocked off, and I suppose the good news here is that that particular stretch of road is yeah, look at all that. Wow. Okay, so there is some traffic behind there, and they do have it blocked off, but where it's situated is it's actually in an industrial part of Marina Del Rey, but Mindanao Way is certainly a pretty big thoroughfare. As he's out of the car right now and gesturing toward police. Confrontational body language there.
Oftentimes we talk about the fact that domestic violent calls, when it comes to officers, is the most dangerous call they get, because people have high emotions. At times they feel as though they have nothing to lose.
Beanbag them.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Oh boy.
They're okay.
Yeah.
So they're
they're just swarming them. They're just swarming them. No weapons are out or anything like that. You got the other door open right now. They're taking out the the passenger right there. Right. So that's the passenger, and the driver. A little bit of force. There's no doubt about that. But this is just physical force. There are no weapons out, no batons, nothing like that. They're just swarming him, getting him down, and now they're going to cuff him. But as far as that passenger, there we go. There definitely was a passenger inside that vehicle, going to be taken into custody. They're probably going to have some questions, but who knows what was going on there. This will all come out later on in the wash, as it would be. But right now, that suspect's still wrestling with officers, and but definitely in cuffs now.
Well, Glad it came to an end in the safest way possible, meaning other people, bystanders, including the passenger, seems to not have been hurt. That could have really gone bad quickly. So we'll keep an eye on it, obviously. Stu, thank you for the play-by-play. We are, at this time, going to take a break, and we'll come back with GDLA Plus, including our guest host this morning. We'll be right back.